There are some stories which you don't want repeated. When I read this story, I just wanted to avert my eyes. But it's a story we all need to know so that it doesn't repeat itself. Look at that. Hyderabad man dies fighting for Russia. I know you're very surprised. What's a man who's from Hyderabad, an Indian, what was he doing in Russia? You remember there was a time when we heard of many stories of how bogus agents promised innocent youths jobs and later duped them of both money and dignity. And when heard of Hyderabad's Muhammad Afsan, it only went to prove how easy it is sometimes to cheat young men and women of their dreams, future, and in this case, life. Muhammad Afsan, who was all of 30 and a resident of Bazarghat in Nampalli, was fraudulently recruited into the Russian army and tragically lost his life in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. A few months ago, this young man proceeded to Russia after he was promised a job by a fraudulent travel agent as a helper to the Russian army. That was what he was promised, but that was not to be. He was inducted as part of a group of 20 Indian youths into the Wagner Group private army to fight for Russia in its war against Ukraine. There was of course talk about how Indian youth were being duped to go join war zones at Mariupol, Kharkiv and Donetsk in Ukraine. Muhammad Afsan's family had apparently spoken to him last in December of 23 and since then had tried to figure out his whereabouts. Later, they reached out to AIMIM chief and Hyderabad MP Asaduddin Owaisi seeking his help in bringing him back from Russia. However, when AIMIM contacted the Indian embassy in Moscow, the officials confirmed that Afsan had died.
बाबा ब्लॉक्स के जरिए गए थे ये लोग जी। ये टोटल 36 लोग थे जिसमें ये जो है बैच के थ्रू गए। जो फर्स्ट बैच गया था वो असफान, जहूर और अरबाब का था। असफान हैदराबाद से, जहूर जो है कश्मीर से थे, अरबाब जो है यूपी से थे। उसके बाद एक सेकंड बैच गया, वो बैच जो है एक गुजरात का था, 3 गुलबर्ग के थे और एक कश्मीर का था और एक हैदराबाद अपने तेलंगाना नारायणपेट का था। ये सेकंड बैच गया था। दूसरे जो एजेंट्स है वहाँ पर रशिया में जो मेरे साथ कांटेक्ट में है, वो एजेंट्स बता रहे हैं कि असमान जिंदा है और वो जो है मरी का जो टेरिटरी है यूक्रेन में वहाँ पर है। वो 16 फरवरी को वो लोग एग्रीमेंट उसका एक दूसरे सोर्स से कैंसिल कराए। वो एजेंट्स बोल रहे हैं वो जिंदा है, एम्बेसी बोल रही है कि वो एक्सपायर है और एम्बेसी कोई प्रूफ नहीं दे रही है हमारे को कि वो एक्सपायर है। अगर ऐसा है एक्सपायर है तो हमारे को प्रूफ चाहिए और उसके साथ साथ उनकी बॉडी हैदराबाद कैसा है उसमें हमारे को एम्बेसी की मदद चाहिए।
What an agony that is. That was the brother of Afsan. The Indian embassy in Moscow meanwhile took to X, formerly known as Twitter, and said that the authorities are in touch with Afsan's family to send his mortal remains back to India. The embassy said, and I am quoting him, "We've learned about the tragic death of an Indian national, Shri Muhammad Afsan. We are in touch with the family and Russian authorities. Mission will make efforts to send his mortal remains to India." Now, before the death of Afsan came the news of 23-year-old Hamil Mangikia from Gujarat, who was working as a helper with the Russian army during the war. Now, this person was also killed in an airstrike by Ukraine on 21st of February in the Donetsk region of the Russia-Ukraine border. The death of Afsan and Mangukia is unfair on several counts, ladies and gentlemen, but what is most important is to ensure that Indian youths don't lose their lives in a war which is between two different countries. However, the Ministry of External Affairs said last month that the Indian government is trying its best for an early discharge of Indian nationals who are working as support staff to the Russian army. Let me quote what it said. It said, "It is our understanding that there are 20-odd people, that is Indians, who have gone there to work as support staff or as helpers with the Russian army. We are trying our level best for their early discharge."